ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Welcome back to All Things Business. Al Thomas here. Hey, I got it, gentlemen. We go back. How many years we go back?
Several decades, at least.
Several decades, at least 30. Oh my, and counting. Well, my dear guest today is Mark Keener, who's an entrepreneur extraordinaire in the Oakland, California area, and also he's in the large apartment buildings. Been knowing Mark for years. Matter of fact, we used to ski a lot of times, and he always wanted to go to my place in Lake Tahoe and ski. And I let him borrow my place. He said, "What? Oh yes, you know what I mean? One day, like the Godfather, you'll owe me a favor." And at the time, he worked at World Airways. And what was your title there?
Chief Financial Officer.
Chief Financial Officer. So I said, "Look, I want to go to Europe." And I said, "See what you can do." So he said, "I'll give me a couple of days and I'll call you back and let you know." And a couple of days later, he called me back and said, "Are you sitting down?" I go, "Do I need to be?" And he goes, "Yeah, I think you want to sit down for this." He says, "From Oakland, California to Germany and back is going to cost you $218. I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? I'm ready. Let's go." I was so jacked up. But along the way, I had to, pay for the hotels, but $218 round trip to Germany and back. And I stopped in England overnight. Long story short, but we'll get to that. If not in this video, some other, because the main guest, I want to talk about him a little bit. So I did that, but Mark has gone on to be in network marketing, did some phenomenal things in network marketing, built an international business in other countries. And one day he calls me and says, "Listen, Mr. Thomas, hey Al, buddy, if you ever join this company, I want you to be in my organization." I said, "Hey, I would love to." However, when we did come over and started that company and left the other company to another company, we had to came over as a package. So he said, "Well, listen, you've been done so well. I want you to be my mentor, consult to me on some things that I need help with." I said, "I'd be happy to. We're friends." And from there, our friendship goes back, like I say, a few decades. So
At least.
Tell everybody about your background a little bit and what got you started in real estate and network marketing.
Sure, and I guess I wasn't doing it at the time, but the connection to Europe was actually through a colleague of mine. I was a CFO for another company, but I knew the CFO of that company, and so putting relationships together. So even at that point, network marketing. So
I had no idea to now. 35, 40 years later.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, restate your question. I'm sorry.
So real estate, what got you in real estate? Tell us about yourself, where you're born, and what got you working for the Airways, and then from there, what did you do?
How much time do you have? The spark went off from me in real estate, actually in my first accounting class, College of Alameda. Very energetic professor, woman, Italian-American, very passionate about accounting. And this concept came up called depreciation that said in the tax world, your property is actually decreasing in value, and you can take that deduction to actually lower real world cash flow. And so I said, this is amazing that that opportunity exists. And then I started thinking a little bit more about this whole thing about who came up with this idea you're supposed to work 40 years or 50 years on a fixed income, and then find out after all that time period, you have very little, if nothing, to get by on in life. And it was just diametrically opposed to all my feeling and chemistry. It just made me almost sick, so to speak. So continued on in accounting and the world of finance, and fortunately I progressed through positions, and then I hit a crossroads in terms of corporate America got tired of me, and I got tired of corporate America. And so it caused me to say, well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again, expecting a different result. So I said, wait a minute, there's got to be something better. Did some reflection, some meditation, and come to learn about the law of attraction, that what you think about, you bring about. And so I got a phone call from a very dear friend, CPA, who said, "I'd like to fly up from LA, share with you something about how you can make life a little bit better for yourself." That became the change point in my life. And so even though the previous career didn't work out and I left that industry, I actually celebrate every year my departure from corporate America. It's almost an emancipation. So from that point on,
you're a CPA as well, correct?
Yes, certified public accountant.
People know we got a CPA. He's also CPA.
Certified public accountant is the name for all those letters. But so that period of time, even while I was working in the corporate world, I was buying real estate, single family homes in the Oakland area and in Texas too. I bought my first property from a friend that I've known since 9 or 10 years old. It was about my first year coming out of college. 2218 64th Avenue in
can still
Oakland,
remember.
California. I still remember, yes.
Was it a single family or
Single
small?
family, yeah,
Okay.
single family home, yeah. And I got in there and did it myself. My father was networking in a supermarket with a woman who had bought a property out on 106th Avenue. She was having problems with it, so he put the two of us together, bought another property. I ended up buying my grandparents' house in Houston, Texas, in the community called Acreage Home in North Houston. So that started it all, and I was actually applying what I had learned in my first accounting class in terms of these properties were generating real world positive cash flow.
Yes, sir.
But when it came time to file my tax return, because of this concept of depreciation, these were business properties because you can't take depreciation on the homes that you live in as your principal residence. And so I was living and becoming social proof of what it was that I'd heard in the textbooks. And so this became my sort of focus of attraction in terms of whatever I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It had to be a combination of passive income as well as equity.
Passive income. Sounds like network marketing falls on that too, right?
Absolutely.
Later on down the road. So then you start buying single families. When did you start breaking into like the big apartment buildings, the multiplex?
Yeah, well, that's where the whole world of network marketing came into my being. Like I mentioned earlier, I got a call from this friend of mine who met with me, and about 10 minutes into the presentation, a light bulb went off in terms of, wow, I can do something once and get paid on it continuously. And so I'm fortunate enough, my parents were very hardworking folks. My father's a longshoreman. My mom cleaned the homes of wealthy folks. 6th grade education, dad, high school for my mother. So the conversations around the dinner table were not about building businesses and things of that sort. But they were hardworking, and I always made a point of wanting to honor them in terms of at least, carrying it to the next level in terms of what we did. So I got an undergraduate degree, CPA, then also went and got a master's in business or an MBA. And that master's was a focus in real estate. I also got a broker's license in real estate, but never to do transactions for buyers and sellers. I got it to equip myself and prepare myself for what I knew at one time eventually would be involved in commercial real estate in a real big way. So then the world of network marketing came into my life, and I embraced it wholeheartedly. I was fortunate enough to build teams not only in North America, but all throughout Western Europe. And it opened up connections and ties for me all throughout the world. And it also became what I tell people very openly and candidly, that was basically my PhD in business. I got the formal degrees, bachelor's degrees and a master's at traditional universities and some great ones. But when it came to really getting real world actual experience of what it takes to be successful in life, it was what I got exposed to in the world of network marketing. So it taught me the ability to start with absolutely nothing. All you had is just a concept, a belief, a burning desire to want to do something, to build something big that doesn't exist. And through perseverance and persistence and belief and surrounding yourself with the right people, the right mental food, the right mental diet, that anything is possible. And so taking that experience, I just simply parlayed that into now looking at commercial real estate. And there's no magic in small dreams. And so
no magic in small dreams.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is a great book too. The Magic of Thinking Big is a great book. I recommend folks.
Schwartz.
Schwartz. Yeah. So I said, game's on. So no more of this onesie twosie stuff or playing in the small sandbox. Why not get out there and do some bigger things? And the beautiful thing about that too is that's something you cannot do by yourself. In fact, the beauty of it is that it takes other people. Teamwork makes the dream work. And so the ability to be able to now involve other people in the process. I've already used myself as a lab rat, so to speak, to test it out and prove it. And so it just now it's all about scalability, scaling. And so at a Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki conference that I went to a lot of boot camps of his, and I met a lot of folks at the event that basically led to, again, I was networking at the time, that led to finding our first commercial property in the Central Valley of California. And that also opened up doors where I met the team in that area that also helped us expand to other places like Texas and beyond.
Let me ask you a question. So when you went to Central Valley in California, what size units was that you
Well,
bought?
the first one, which we still own today, was 56.
56 units?
Yeah.
And you still own it today? How long have you had that one now?
Oh,
Roughly?
well over 20 years.
Over 20 years,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So you bought that one, still have that one under management. You got a good team there working, and you leveraged them because thing that with network marketing, leverage real estate, we leverage network marketing. And so what was the next project did you get involved with?
Well, from that point on, we just went gangbusters over the state of Texas. The reason why we chose Texas because, as one of my mentors says, live where you want to, but invest where it makes sense. And so it makes the numbers work out better in those markets, and primarily because we look for three fundamental metrics in terms of that drive our investment making decision. Number one, the markets that rank highest in terms of job growth. Number two, the markets that rank highest in terms of population growth. And number three, the markets that rank highest in terms of demand for rental housing. So when you factor all those things in, that basically gave our GPS directions to head towards Texas in terms of a place for apartment that met those metrics.
Right.
And so we bought properties in the Houston market. We bought
Let's a little bit. Tell us the size unit in Houston market, the first one after that.
336
336 units. Okay, great. And Houston, keep going.
Yeah, then in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, 96 units, 152 units. And so that's typically our sweet spot in terms of deals that we like to acquire. And again, because of the size of that, what you're actually doing is you're buying a business every time you buy an apartment community. Because unlike buying a single-family home or single-family house to be a rental, there's no scale there, and pretty much, when you're full, you're 100% full, and when you're vacant, you're 100% vacant. So in the case of when you're buying a business, it has all the fundamental elements of business. Number one, it can run on its own without me or the owners to have to be physically or actively present to do that.
Just like network marketing. Keep going.
Why? Because we hire the best property managers out there. In fact, we look for property managers before we even look for the asset, because when we find the asset, we want to just be able to hit the switch and say, we got a deal, the property manager is already in place. And so oftentimes the property managers can also be a source of deal flow as well. So again, when we buy a community of that size, you're actually buying a business that comes already with employees, that's cash flowing positively already. And so it's a matter of looking for things that we can acquire where we can add value. Sometimes it's adding value in a soft cost way, meaning that the management has just been, very poor at managing the property.
I find that to be so in most projects I've gone on. There's always a bad management.
Yeah. So that's a rehab in and of itself, in terms of it's now time to bring the best and the brightest, the sharpest in to come in and do something that hopefully that they're passionate about doing. Then we also do what we call hard dollar rehabs, where properties have gone into major disrepair. We took up a property recently where the balconies and decks had been deteriorating. Nothing had been done for the property in decades, and so we're doing a major renovation there, and actually basically doing almost everything except for ground up construction. We're flipping and turning over everything in the community. So we're adding value to a person's living experience in terms of making sure they get the best quality of life. So that's a little bit about how some of these transactions have come together.
So if you don't mind, how many doors do you have now?
We've had a high water mark of over 1,000. We're focusing on expanding that to 10xing that to 11,000 doors. We sold some things during the great financial crisis that dipped us down to about 500 doors. So we're actively
engaged and looking now.
Yes, exactly.
What do you see the market going since we're in the beginning of let's say we're in the first quarter of the year? What does it look like for this year for the commercial?
Let me answer your question with a question, because that's a very common question. And my common response to that is that prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So I'm not about to prognosticate on certain things without, understanding a little bit more behind that.
Well,
but let me, I know what you're getting at. I'm not trying to sidestep your question, but the whole point is that if you're a savvy and experienced investor who knows how to navigate waters when they're calm as well as they're stormy, it doesn't matter what the market is doing, whether it's going down, sideways, or up. you know how to make money in all three of those markets. And so that's what we characterize and pattern ourselves. And we also, people that are part of our company, train them, have that type of mindset that there are opportunities to be had no matter what's going
very
on.
true.
So
Very
it's
true.
about doing your due diligence and staying loyal to what your metrics are, and just having some discipline about what you do.
Now, I know we got a lot of people watching from around the country and around the world, and commercials are a little bit different as residential, which I thank you for sharing with that, because I know that's your niche. And how do you find the financing field, world out there with the way interest rates are today? What's your?
There again, the cost of capital is more expensive than it was when the economy was in a much healthier state, and it's starting to trend back that way too. So again, I don't want to always throw out this doom and gloom and woe is me kind of stuff.
Not.
But again, where there's crisis, there also creates opportunities.
Sure.
And so that's what we focus on in terms of, again, looking at, are there situations out there where people need to move and get creative in your financing? Maybe the seller will carry back some of the lending on financing. In fact, you and I got involved in a transaction years ago about that skiing community. In fact, that was another condo that you're talking about, that you had a condo in the same building, and I was going out looking for financing. Pardon me while we digress here a little bit, but it just illustrates the question that you had, and that sometimes you just have to get out there and start moving and progressing and doing the things that you are passionate about, and events, life, and circumstances, and people will come into your life to help make that all your reality.
That's so true.
And so the condo that I was buying, the same building that Al was looking at, banks kept saying no, 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 and so I was sharing my stories with the seller, and she said, well, don't worry about that. I will finance the property. I don't need all the cash.
Good old Maryland.
Yes, Maryland house wrap.
House wrap.
Yes. So, and it also created an opportunity for a relationship that would have otherwise not had been there.
Very true.
Had I not had the opportunity to become her borrower, and she became my lender. So again, no question that the cost of capital financing has gone up quite a bit. In fact, it's kind of clogged the deal flow in the sense that sellers aren't looking to sell now because they can't deploy or redeploy that money into something because they're going to be paying a lot more. So deal flow, properties aren't coming on the market as much. And but again, there are always situations where people have to sell and find themselves selling, and so you just have to be patient. And it just means going through a lot more numbers to get the same results that you're looking for.
It's not like if the interest rate goes up, the value of the property. Sometimes if you do your, like you're saying, do your deal flows, you're looking for those who are like, okay, that one's coming down, but it's going to cost us a little bit more on the interest, and it all balances out sometimes.
So it's simple fundamentals.
Exactly.
What's the best time to shop for consumer goods?
Anytime,
appliances.
every time.
Well, when they're on sale or when they're not on sale.
Well, they're on sale.
Yeah, when they're on sale, that's what we do. We look for when, and so when there's a correction in the economy, that says assets are now on sale. They're at a discount, so go shopping.
That's when I buy my best deals.
Yeah.
When the sky is falling, I buy my best deals. And I can think back in the good old days when I was buying property for, people were thinking that, everything was going to nothing. I said, I'll take it, I'll take that one too.
Yeah, and I like the good young days too.
Yeah.
I'm all about the young days.
Yeah. So now that you got, you're down to about 500 doors at this point, and how did you get introduced to network marketing?
Network marketing, again, as I was mentioning earlier, I got a call from a colleague of mine who was also a CPA living in Southern California, and she was introduced to it through her sister who lived on the other side of the country in Alabama, the Georgia market. And even though I have 2 degrees in business administration, none of these ever mentioned this whole thing about network marketing.
I wonder why that
income. Yeah, well, it's designed as a whole nother topic for an interview maybe about how the whole educational system and the work world are just totally out of sync with what's needed in the world today.
Absolutely.
So that was my first exposure, as I mentioned earlier. 10 minutes into the presentation said, well, wow, you do something once and you can get paid on it continuously, similar to real estate in the sense you get your management team, find the asset, get it leased up, and each month people are going to pay their rent. It's one of life's 3 necessities: food, clothing, and shelter. And so initially when I was introduced, I was busy doing a couple of things. I had started my transition into commercial real estate. I, cut the umbilical cord with regard to the accounting world. That was in the rearview mirror, never to be part of my life again in a full-time way. I was also lecturing at San Francisco State University, teaching some accounting classes as I'm recovering from becoming an accountant. And then, and then the world of network marketing popped into my life. And I made a decision, and even though it was kind of the third thing in my stack of activities, what happens in life is that where you find value, you will rearrange or reprioritize your time. And so gradually things started to build up. And I was, a slow learner at the beginning. I didn't really have any marginal success of anything for the first 6 months. And then, because it was a process of having to unlearn some things that were counterintuitive to how the world of network marketing works. And so a lot of it was just going through some personal growth that I realized at the time that I was in need of in order to be successful in the business.
That makes a lot of sense because, one of the things you hit on is personal growth. And I think a lot of people get in network marketing without seeking more personal growth, and they think they're going to be successful in just what they know. And what I try to explain to people, they're limited unless you are willing to grow. And you said something very significant. You said, you won the personal development the first 6 months. Didn't do very much, but then you start seeking out personal development. And what happened after you got personal development?
One of the things that I embraced myself on is being a student of the business, also a student of life. The more you think you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Don't know. That's so true.
So I just embraced the ability to be able to, learn and grow. And the wonderful thing about this profession of network marketing is that you have the ability to work with people who will share with you their experiences with no hidden agendas. And I'll just use you as an example. When I was closing in on hitting the top position of the company that Al and I have been a part of, I had a lot of momentum and things going, but I just needed another little tweak here in terms of sort of taking it over the top. And so I reached out to Al, living in Las Vegas at the time. I was in the Bay Area. He flew in for the day. We met at a hotel lobby, pulled out some papers, started drawing, as we sometimes do, drawing circles and lines and circles and lines. But it wasn't so much about the circles and lines. It was also about him transferring his experiences and letting me hear some of your stories in terms of what it would take to kind of kick in that next gear. And so within months after that meeting, I was crested to the top position in our company. And but the most important thing, let me just take a little more time on this, is that we talk about in the business of network marketing, it's not so much about what you do, but what you can help and create the same experience for other people. So what I take most pride in, not so much my development, my progression, is the ability to then duplicate that. We use that word quite a bit in our business, to duplicate that and replicate that to other people so they can have the same experience. Because it's one thing to know something, it's a whole nother thing to be able to teach and transfer that information, that more importantly, the inspiration. The business is 90% inspiration, 10% information. So you're really, yes, transferring some information, but also transferring the inspiration to other people. So I've been also fortunate enough to duplicate myself multiple times with regional vice presidents all throughout Europe, and that was far more rewarding and enriching to be able to duplicate my experiences to inspire other people to have the same thing and even greater.
I think that's a great point. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what he said? He was smart enough to say, let me seek out somebody, and that was me at the time. Not so much. He was smart enough to seek out somebody who had the information he needed to get him to the next level. And because that he obtained the next level. And that's the power of network marketing, to be able to do that. And you're surrounded by a lot of good teachers. So I just want to thank Mark for just a little bit of his time about explaining to you, here's a gentleman that's a CPA. Here's a gentleman that actually have 500 doors now. He's up to almost 1,000. Here's a gentleman who saw the power of network marketing. So for you professionals out there, where you're a doctor, CPA, lawyer, whatever the profession may be, it made sense to him because he understood the numbers and the law of compounding also the law of leverage that kicked in. So give us a few words in closing.
Yeah. Well, in closing, I think the thing that I rejoice and treasure from this experience, because I wouldn't be the person that I am, we wouldn't be sitting here today had this close friend of mine made that phone call and I was receptive enough and open-minded enough to listen to her and receive what she was saying. So I will say to folks who are listening, the most expensive thing you'll ever own is a closed mind. So whatever you do, keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Sometimes, the Spirit may be talking to you, and because you're, for whatever reasons, things that happened in the past, you're carrying that garbage forward with you, and so you're now, I can't do this, and so I would just say again, listen to life's messages. Sometimes go with your feelings, your gut instinct, because I came from what was one of my greatest disappointments in life to my greatest rejoices in life. And so had things not collapsed in the corporate world the way that they did, I would not have been receptive enough and open enough to receive what I did with regard to this business. And I'm so thankful, so grateful that I had the wisdom at the time to be receptive enough to receive it. And I guess it's been the ability for me to now to impact the lives of hundreds and thousands of other people that we do in this business. I just came back from traveling in the Middle East and Dubai, and again building more relationships there with people. And so that's what I would say to people. Yeah,
I
keep
love
an
that.
open mind. Yeah.
Keep an open mind. And look, he's talking about if it hadn't collapsed, folks. Don't wait till it collapses.
Yeah.
Do it now. I mean, he's telling you. A lot of people. Not saying this Mark Keener or any. Some of people out there, we wait till something happens, then we got to run for it.
Yeah.
Want somebody to wave a magic wand over it. Don't wait till that. Start now. Don't wait. Start now, whether it's network marketing or it's real estate or even a traditional. Start now. That's what we're talking about here. And I want you guys to take this and get this video out and share it with 3 or 4 people at least. Hit the subscribe button and also the notification button. That way we release a new one, you'll be up on it. So I want to thank my dear friend Mark Keener for stopping in the studio today to give us his insight as a professional CPA, as a professional network marketer, and as a professional commercial real estate broker, agent, broker, investor. Mainly investor.
Yeah.
Because to do all that, you have to be called an investor. That's what I prefer to as an investor. So thank you once again, my friend Mark. God bless you all. We'll see you guys at the next one. Thank you. Take care. God bless. Thank you.